Hello and welcome back to Doesn't Go Hard, the show where I review movies, video games, and more. Today, I'm pretty excited to finally bring you my review of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, a movie that's been 8 years in the making. Even right now, I still can't believe that I'm actually saying that I watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So you already know the gist about Five Nights at Freddy's. Security guard goes to work at a pizzeria, animatronics come to life to try to kill you, whatever, yeah. This movie is pretty much that, a really expanded version of that. This movie tries to cram a lot of lore into you. So let me just get this out of the way right now. For non-Five Nights at Freddy's fan, this movie does not give a fuck about you. If you're just a casual moviegoer, if you have no experience with Five Nights at Freddy's whatsoever, this movie is not for you. Now, it's not to say that you can enjoy it. Of course, I feel like you still could find some enjoyment out of this movie, even if you know absolutely fucking nothing about Five Nights at Freddy's. But this movie was clearly made with the fans in mind, and only the fans in mind, because this movie is filled with lore, Easter eggs, and just a lot of attention to detail right from the games. Now, myself, I'm kind of an older Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I love the first 4 games. FNAF 1 to 4 are incredible, especially FNAF 4. That is my favorite Five Nights at Freddy's game to this day. It was really after Sister Location where I kind of fell off the whole Five Nights at Freddy's train. I was still keeping up with the franchise, but I was kind of looking at it as a casual perspective and playing the games in a more casual way rather than really invested in the lore and all the things. So coming into this movie, I went with 2 perspectives. One, as a old Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and 2, as a kinda / casual viewer to somebody that has not kept up with Five Nights at Freddy's lore for quite a while. I did my studying for this because I wanted to go into this at least knowing more than I remembered. Even watching a lot of lore videos and just reading upon the whole lore of this franchise was completely just mind-boggling how things have changed so much in this franchise. But you're not here to hear me ramble about my experience with Five Nights at Freddy's. You wanna know if this movie is even good. Has the 8-year wait been worth it? Well, let me put it simply. If you're a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, yes, totally. I truly believe that the wait was completely worth it. And I'm just gonna say it, I actually liked the movie. I actually thought it was pretty great for the most part. But I couldn't help but notice that there were some pretty glaring flaws in this film. Now again, some of these are kind of nitpicky and some of them are more personal to me as an old Five Nights at Freddy's fan. What I'm trying to say is that these weren't completely game breaking for me. They didn't take me out of the movie, they weren't distracting. I was just kind of questioning certain things as the movie went along. But for the most part, I actually found myself enjoying the film. But here's the thing, if you're not a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and you have no idea about absolutely anything about this franchise whatsoever, then you could find yourself a little bit disappointed, because this movie, it is marketed as a horror movie. And let me just tell you, that is probably one of the first things that I feel kinda is a bit of a mixed bag for me. The movie is not really scary. It has a few jump scares, don't get me wrong, and it has a few scares here and there, and a few moments that I was actually quite impressed with how well it was directed. This director, she's not necessarily new, but she's kinda new to making higher budget movies. This is kind of her big break into a big Hollywood blockbuster in a way, and I felt that she did a pretty good job. I think her name is Emma something. I probably screwed up her name completely. I'm so sorry. She did a really good job with the directing. I thought that this was brilliantly directed. I was very impressed with her directing skills, is what I'm trying to say. But for a casual viewer and big horror movie fans, I'm not really sure if this is gonna do it for you. There's some fun violence and there's some really fun scares here and there, but I don't feel like it's going to be enough for these kind of viewers to be like, you know what, that was completely worth it. Another one of my complaints is the PG-13 rating, which I know is gonna piss off a lot of people in the comments, but let me explain myself. I have nothing against this rating, okay? It can work for a lot of movies, especially a lot of good horror movies can actually pull off a PG-13 rating. The problem here is that I feel like this movie tries to have it both ways, where it wants to be violent and gruesome sometimes, and very foul with its language. But the PG-13 rating sometimes doesn't allow that, especially with the foul language. There's a lot of scenes where something completely shocking will happen, and the characters, instead of going, "Holy fucking shit!" they're more like, "Oh my goodness gracious, freaking freaking goodness. That got a little bit awkward sometimes. I was like, man, just say fuck, for the love of God. And my last pretty big complaint was kind of near the end of the movie. Something happens that I was not very sure how I felt about it. Again, it's a little bit of a spoiler, so I can't really give any major details about it. But it was something that made me scratch my head a bit. I was like, I don't know how to feel about this. This kind of doesn't make any sense. But also, Five Nights at Freddy's lore in general kind of makes no sense. I'm kind of conflicted here. So I've been ragging on the movie for quite a while now, and you might be asking, then how do I even like this if I'm ragging on it so much? Because that's the whole point of film criticism, is that you're supposed to criticize stuff. Like, if something doesn't sit right with you, you're supposed to, I don't know, criticize it. But believe me when I say that I thought the movie was pretty great, I do believe it, man. This movie has a lot of great things in it. Will they work for everybody? Of course not. But for me, at least, it did work. For example, I actually liked all the performances. Now, there were a few that I did kind of have to get adjusted to, and there is kind of one bad performance in the entire movie. She's kind of a very small character, so she doesn't really matter that much. But for the main characters, the characters that actually serve a purpose to the story, I actually feel they're pretty good. There's another little complaint that I have. I know that I'm trying to praise the movie right now, but Matthew Lillard, he has very little time on screen. He has like about a total of 10 minutes of screen time in the entire movie. The thing is, when he's on screen, I fucking loved it. He is incredible in this film. He brings a great performance to this. I just wish there was more of him. But again, I did enjoy most of these characters. They're not groundbreaking, but I was finding myself actually enjoying my time with them. The practical effects are incredible. These animatronic suits are fucking amazing, and you can tell that the Jim Henson Company put a lot of time and effort into making these not only look identical to the ones from the game, but also make them function so well. And the thing that I wasn't expecting about this movie is that this movie is able to be both creepy but also kind of adorable, which is something that I wasn't really expecting from a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I don't know, it just kind of worked for me. I enjoyed seeing these animatronics in completely different lights. I thought that was very, very clever what they did with them. A lot of scenes in this movie are actually very silent, and what I mean by that is that there's no soundtrack or score that is bombarding the scenes for the most part, which I actually do enjoy. I enjoy when horror movies just let the scene play out without any sort of music or soundtrack or whatever, and this movie does it pretty effectively. The movie's cheesy, okay? It's super goofy and funny, but I honestly thought that it worked for the most part. There are some moments where I feel like the goofiness and the cheesiness kind of gets intrusive with some scenes that could be a little bit more tense or scary, but for the most part, I had no issue with this movie kind of having goofy writing and just a goofy script overall. I just thought that it worked, especially for a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, where a lot of things in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise are already kind of cheesy and goofy. And like I mentioned before, this movie has a lot of lore. So much lore. I was very impressed by just how much lore there was actually in this movie. I kind of loved it for that, honestly. I didn't really enjoy that this movie took a lot of the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, altered it a little bit, but still kept the main core of what made the lore in the games so intriguing and special. I do understand that some people are going to be confused as shit about it, and they're not going to understand every single detail about it, and might even scratch their heads on some things that might seem completely unlogical. But to me, as somebody that is kind of informed with Five Nights at Freddy's, to me, I just thought that it was pretty cool that they paid that much attention to detail to the lore of these games. And there are some pretty fun cameos. Unfortunately, there's no Markiplier. We do get MatPat. We do get Corey Kenshin. To me, that's pretty cool. And believe me, when that MatPat cameo came on screen, the movie theater that I was in was pretty empty, but goddamn, I was still trying to hold in my fucking laughter. I was like, this is so fucking stupid, yet I love it so much. So it's very clear that this movie was made with the fans in mind first, and casual audiences very, very much second. Will it be for everybody? Of course not, okay? I don't expect everybody to enjoy this. In fact, I've already seen a lot of opinions in the internet saying that they don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's just not for them, and that is completely understandable. But I was also very surprised to see how many casual viewers that actually went to see the movie found themselves enjoying it, even them not knowing what the fuck Five Nights at Freddy's was in the first place. It's definitely definitely a movie that's gonna be a mixed bag for a lot of people. But for Five Nights at Freddy's fans and the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom, this is a huge victory for them. So the rating they'll be giving the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is a low Ghost Raw. Again, the movie's not perfect. It does have some glaring issues that did kind of make me scratch my head a few times. But again, I still found myself enjoying the movie for the most part. There's good performances, the story I think is serviceable enough, the practical effects are incredible, and in general, I just feel like it's a very charming movie, which is weird to say for a horror movie. My only hope for the future sequels is that they look at some of the issues that people had with the first movie and try to find a way to fix them. But thank you so much for watching. What do you think of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you just kind of in the middle? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know what you guys think about it. And like always, good day, good night, and stay safe.